Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim for the Real Sports Talk. You can find me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, and you can also like the Real Sports Talk on Facebook. So, I mean, the NBA playoffs have been great. Tonight the Sixers have their backs against the wall. Hopefully they can force that to a Game 7, especially with the comments Kevin Garnett's made. And me being a Sixers fan, I really want to see that happen at home. I do not want to see them go down. I've already had to see the Phillies and the Flyers seasons end at home this season, and I do not want the Sixers to be the third team out of that. And Allen Iverson, my favorite player of all time, supposedly going to be in the building tonight, so that should be a great overall game. I can't wait. Hopefully the Sixers are able to pull out a win. What I want to talk about the NBA playoffs, it's been a couple days since I made a video about it, is really something that it might not even be specific to just the NBA playoffs, but it's just something that in general I've wanted to talk about. And that is the Batman versus Robin, LeBron James versus Dwayne Wade, things like that, and then just some other generalizations that are put out about these two, because the media loves to compare these people. Because if you notice, before LeBron James was in Miami, Dwayne Wade was one of the best players in the NBA. When LeBron James did the decision and everyone started to hate LeBron James, Dwayne Wade was the best player that's ever played in the NBA, and everything he does gets magnified. And that I used to really like Dwayne Wade when I was younger, and I don't not like him because of this, but it gets old after a while. It's like, okay, Dwayne Wade is a very good player. Is he the best in the game? No, he's not. Is LeBron James the best in the game? I think so, but it doesn't even have to do with that. It's the fact that Dwayne Wade can play a horrible game, but if he does something right late, it's going to get magnified. And it's driving me nuts with the media, the way that they're doing this, because it's unfair to Dwayne Wade, the same way that when we see a guy like Kobe Bryant get propped up to the level of Michael Jordan, it makes certain people dislike Kobe Bryant that wouldn't have disliked him because they don't want to see the comparisons to Michael Jordan. That being said, let me get back on topic. With Dwayne Wade, he is clearly one of the best players in the NBA. Did not have his best season this season. I think everyone understands that. And a lot of it had to do with health problems and everything. Throughout the NBA playoffs, we know that this season the Miami Heat have one singular goal, and that is to win the NBA Finals. And if they don't win the NBA Finals, the whole season is a failure, and who knows what happens this offseason. Now, the Dwayne Wade and LeBron James breaking up thing, I really do not see happening. And with what we've seen with the Heat without Chris Bosh, I think it would be unlikely that they'd move on from Chris Bosh too. So I think this is what you're going to get with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, and then the Mike Millers and Joel Anthony's, Udonis Haslem's, Mario Chalmers, Norris Colts, guys like that behind them. And if LeBron and Wade don't carry the team, well, then you're in the situation that you're probably not going to have a very good chance to win the game. In terms of the Batman and Robin thing, though, this one drives me nuts, because every time LeBron James has a great game, it's, oh, LeBron James is Batman now, Dwayne Wade's Robin. Or now it's Dwayne Wade's team, Dwayne Wade's the leader. I don't understand the whole he's the leader part, because if you're not in that huddle or whatever, then you don't know who the leader is. And a lot of times you'll look at a team when they have one great player, like when LeBron was in Cleveland or when Wade was just in Miami, you'll say, oh, that guy's the leader of this team. When you get two really good players together, both in their primes, both have kind of paid their dues in the league. Obviously, LeBron James needs to win a championship, but he's also a 3-time MVP. So you understand that LeBron James isn't necessarily looked at at the same level as, oh, Dwayne Wade's on this pedestal. Like when Shaq and Kobe were together, Kobe was still younger. Shaq had been in the league for a long time, so people believed it was Shaq's team. Now that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are together, it doesn't have to be either one of their teams. Really, I mean, it's the Miami Heat. When they got together, they understood that they were going to be taking on a lot. I don't know if they understood they were going to be taking on as much as they have ended up getting, but they understood that they were going to be taking on a lot. That being said, when two great players get together, the expectation is that they're going to win a championship. And then you add a third star in there with Chris Bosh, then the expectation is really that you're going to win a championship. And everyone knows that in an 82-game season, and then playoffs that can take up to 28 games, you understand that the same guy isn't going to be the best player every night. And what you also understand is that at different times, one guy's going to take leadership, and at different times, another guy's going to take leadership. And if you ever played basketball or any other team sport, soccer, football, not really baseball, hockey, if you ever played like a team sport, an attacking type sport, you understand that at different times, different guys are going to take over. Dwayne Wade has had his times where he's taken over. LeBron James has had his time where he's taken over. And that's why I look at it when people make these comparisons about Batman and Robin and whose team is it. I don't really look at it as one of their team. It's both their team. They're both two of the top 5 players in the NBA in most people's mind, especially when Dwayne Wade is healthy. And to say, oh, it's LeBron's team, I think is somewhat slighting Dwayne Wade. And to say it's Dwayne Wade's team and he runs the show down there, I've heard people say that, and then I'm like, didn't LeBron James just win an MVP? Didn't he choke when he choked in the NBA Finals last year? Wasn't it, oh, the Heat didn't win because LeBron choked? Well, if you're gonna say that LeBron James choked and that's why they didn't win, well, aren't you kind of saying that LeBron James is the Batman of that team? That's what I'm talking about. Anything can be construed as, this guy's the Batman, this guy's the Robin. There's a difference between who's better, I think it's LeBron James, and who is the leader of the team. The best player is not always the leader on the team. I mean, you can look around the NBA. Tony Parker is the best player on the Spurs right now, but Tim Duncan is still the leader of that team. And that goes, Rajon Rondo is probably the best player in Boston, but Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, that's another example where you could look at and say there's more than one leader on that team. And I guess you could with the Spurs too, with Manu, and you could make a case that Tony Parker is a leader, but when you have a few guys that have been in the league for a long time now, 9 or 10 seasons, and they both had great careers, Hall of Fame careers for both of them, then you understand that it's not always going to be one guy's team every single night. And that's why when we continue to hear these comparisons, it's getting irritating, because I'm thinking, well, some nights Dwayne Wade's been better, and there's other nights that LeBron James is better. There's certain things that Dwayne Wade's better at, and there's certain things that LeBron James is better at. One other thing I want to talk about, and that's pretty much my overall thoughts on the LeBron James versus Dwayne Wade comparison in terms of who's the leader, Batman versus Robin, is the comparison about the other day where Skip Bayless really tried to say that Dwayne Wade that Dwayne Wade had a better game. In game 4, where LeBron James had 40 points, 19 and 8 or 9 assists, I think it was, and then Dwayne Wade had 30 points, had a poor first half, but in the second half he had like 25 points. So, I mean, they both had great games, but that's what I'm talking about. You can look at Skip Bayless and guys like that, and they're just brainwashing a whole generation. I'm not falling for it. And they're brainwashing not only a whole generation, but even people that came up in a different generation, because unfortunately in the society we live in, a lot of people are too lazy to sit down and watch a whole game. A lot of people are too lazy to, even if they sit down and watch a whole game, give their actual thoughts on the game or form their own opinion. So what they'll do is they'll turn on a guy like Skip Bayless. They'll realize, oh, he's on ESPN, he must know what he's talking about, which he really doesn't. I don't know if it's an act. Maybe he does know what he's talking about, he just doesn't show it on the show. Whatever the case is, when you allow guys like that to just singularly form your opinions, then you're going to get flawed opinions. It's as simple as that. And this notion that the regular season doesn't matter, well, you have to get to the playoffs, don't you? Or that he shouldn't have been given the MVP because he choked in the NBA Finals last year. Well, isn't the MVP a regular season award? I mean, everybody knows if LeBron James doesn't help, and the Heat, not just singularly LeBron James, but if LeBron James is not the best player, then either if he wins a championship, you're going to hear, oh, Wade's Batman and LeBron's Robin. Or if they don't win a championship, you're going to hear LeBron James choked again. And also, the other thing you'll hear is, shit, I just forgot what I was saying. You'll hear people say that, well, if you score a point in the fourth quarter, or if some guy has 8 points in the fourth quarter, or no, let's put it this way. If Dwayne Wade goes throughout the game, that's a decent game, and drops 15 and hits a game-winning shot. But LeBron James has 35 points, but only has like 5 points in the fourth quarter. Now, let's not even say in the fourth quarter. Let's just say in the last minute, or a minute or 2 minutes, he doesn't make a shot, and Dwayne Wade makes that shot. When you hear people say that just because you hit the game-winning shot, that means you had the best game, but LeBron James could have a triple-double, but he didn't have the best game because he didn't make the most points in the last 2 minutes, it's just stupid. It's stupid. And people can say all they want that I'm talking down to people that have a different opinion or anything like that, but if you think about it, does that make any sense? Really. Let's say you're in a high school championship. Your high school's in a championship for basketball. And the star player goes throughout the game, and he's got about 25 points. And then his second best player, a guy that is similar to his skill level, he goes throughout the game, and he has a solid game, second best on the team, clearly, and then he hits a game-winning shot. Obviously, you remember the game-winning shot, but if you want to talk about who actually had the better game, then I'm still taking the guy that played the full game, that put together the full performance, and yeah, maybe LeBron James isn't hitting the game-winning shots. Maybe that just really isn't his niche. I think that we're finally beginning to realize that, but it's not just the last 2 minutes of a game. And that the last shot is not the only clutch part of a game. If you get a rebound with 5 minutes left, an offensive rebound, after someone else misses a shot, that's clutch. If you make an amazing pass to Dwayne Wade and you're LeBron James, that's still clutch. Clutch takes, in a lot of cases, a full team performance. So while the guy that scores is the one that's going to be getting a majority of the publicity, you'll hear Dwayne Wade or you'll hear whoever the guy is say, well, I couldn't have done that part without my teammates contributing to it. Obviously, the guy who hit the shot is most responsible for it probably because he's making a great cut to the hoop or whatever the case is, but you get my point there. The one I remember I was going to say now, the other thing that I've heard is that, oh, well, he can fill up a stat sheet, he's a stat whore, whatever the case is. When you score 40 points in a playoff basketball game, there's no stat whore. There's no he could fill up a stat sheet. No, you had one of the best games in a long time in the playoffs. There is nothing. And if it was anybody, if it was Kobe Bryant, we'd give him his props. I'd give him his props. If it was Kevin Durant, we'd give him his props. But because it's LeBron James, it's, oh, well, he can fill up a stat sheet better than anyone else. But Dwayne Wade had 2 more points in the second half, so that means that Dwayne Wade had a better overall game. No. First of all, in that game, LeBron James kept he in the game in the first half when they would not have been in there because Dwayne Wade was not having a great game. That's what I'm talking about. There's days where Dwayne Wade is going to have a better first half, and he's going to carry the team throughout the first half, and you can say it's Dwayne Wade's team, and there's days where LeBron James is going to do it, and the same thing goes for the second half. But stat whore, or he can fill up a stat sheet, or stats don't matter for anything. Are you kidding me? Oh, well, you can give me those 40 points, but that doesn't mean anything. That's 4/6 of your team's points, almost. What do you mean that doesn't mean anything? That doesn't make any sense. If you go to a college basketball game and the best player kind of has a reputation not being clutch, but the spotlight isn't on the way it's constantly on LeBron James, and he scores 40 points, but maybe someone else scores one more point in the second half? Or are you really going to say, well, you filled up a stat sheet pretty well and expect people to honestly take you seriously? Come on. This is what I'm talking about. We allow people on TV to just make up these ludicrous things and then we run with it. Oh, he doesn't have a gene to make him clutch. No. Clutch is a somewhat mental thing, and there's two different things with the clutch shooting, because when people talk about clutch, they're not talking about the overall clutch that you can still be without being a clutch shooter. They're talking about, can you make the last second shot? Guys like Kobe Bryant, I know that Kobe Bryant had some bad fourth quarters, but overall I trust Kobe Bryant with the ball. Guys like Carmelo Anthony, they're clutch shooters. And one of the things that makes you so clutch is that you don't tense up and you don't think about it. And I think that maybe sometimes LeBron James overthinks the situation he's in. I think other times Eric Spoelstra just doesn't draw up the play for him, and that may have to do with not trusting LeBron James. But whatever the case is, I think that clutch, it's not a gene. It's a lot of times it just takes making that first shot or making a couple clutch shots to get you into a long-term period of being clutch. And I think a lot of times clutch is just luck. I mean, a guy's going to go up and he's going to take a shot and either it's going to go in or it's not. Now, if he misses the rim like LeBron James did that one Bulls play or regular season game last year, it was a Sunday showcase game in like February, then yeah, you know, you can look at it and say, yeah, that was pretty bad. But if LeBron James takes they're down by 3 and he goes to tie the game and it just rims out, is that really unclutch, or is that just shot didn't go in this time? Okay, you know, you move on to the next time. That's what I don't understand when people talk about this clutch. The final thing I want to talk about, this stat whore thing, I want to get back to that for just a second. An example of someone that would be a stat whore, it's tough to really find one in the NBA. Because even if you want to look at a guy that's more of a volume scorer or a shot jacker, they're still kind of putting up the productivity. That might be a decent comparison, but it's hard to find a guy. Like, some people want to make that case about Kobe Bryant. I just don't see it, because like what he did in Game 5, what was he supposed to do? Andrew Bynum is lazy and doesn't care. Pau Gasol is soft and has declined rapidly over the past few seasons. So I had no issue with Kobe Bryant taking a ton of shots, and obviously if you take a ton of shots, there's going to be a lot of shots that you miss, but he's also making a ton, and when he's not getting a ton of help, that's kind of the way it has to be. But a real stat whore or stat filler up, whatever you want to call it, the way I look at that is that the only type of guy that I look at it like that is the guy in the MLB that'll bat you 190, and yeah, he'll hit you 20 home runs, but if you're going to bat 190, strike out 5 times out of 6, Mark Reynolds comes to mind. Now, not the years where Mark Reynolds was hitting 40 home runs, but the years now where he's hitting 23 home runs or whatever. When you hit 23 or so home runs, and you're batting 190 in a 162 game season, and you're striking out 200 times, you really got to question how productive that is. Now, if you had 260 and strike out 200 times like what Ryan Howard used to do, then, but you still have 45 home runs and 140 some RBIs, you're not a stat whore. You're someone that strikes out a lot, and you're a prototypical slugger. But if you hit like 190 and you really just have nothing else to bring to the table, and a team looking to sign you says, oh look, this guy had 20 home runs, but then you go down to the sabermetrics part of it, and you go down to your scouting department and say, yeah, but he didn't do this, this, and this, and you realize, yeah, you're right, I'll take a guy that bats 275 and hits 15 home runs over a guy that's going to bat 190 and hit 25 home runs, but strike out 200 times. I don't know, that's my opinion on the whole thing. The Batman and Robin, it's annoying. All the Heat nicknames are annoying. The Heatles is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. And the Batman vs. Robin's probably number 2. You really have to question, though, with all this discussion, if the NBA really would want the Heat to win the NBA Finals. Because, man, what are we going to talk about after this? This has, like, revolutionized the game and brought a lot of fans back into the game, brought their interest back into the game, and it's really been a great thing for the NBA. Whether it's been a great thing for LeBron James or not, well, that's a different topic for a different discussion. But anyway, like the Real Sports Talk on Facebook, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later.